The release of a new line always sparks interest. And players are most interested in lines with new mechanics. The Yo tanks are a perfect example of that. You should be able to recognize classic features of US tank building in them. Every project, though, attempted to bring fresh design solutions, like a narrow turret, a peculiar gun mantlet, or suspension with an extra track. And even though no metal prototypes of these vehicles were ever built, there were enough drafts and blueprints to create a new American heavy line in the game possessing these unique mechanics. The line begins at Tier 6 with the Paulack tank. It's the only newcomer without a reserve track. But you can hardly call it a typical heavy. The Paulack is sturdier than the M6 and faster than the Sherman. The only drawback is its gun. Its DPM is not great, its accuracy mediocre, its depression angle only 5 degrees, and its single-shot damage is standard for a 90mm gun. But this tank is a decent close-range fighter. Its armor can forgive certain mistakes in a positional firefight. In combination with good mobility, it even allows you to engage in a flank offensive. In this regard, the Paulack tank is more successful than other same-tier vehicles. At Tier 7, there is the M2Y, the first vehicle of this line possessing a reserve track. In other respects, this tank is similar to its predecessor. A cross between a heavy and a medium vehicle with good mobility and excellent armor. The only weak spot of the M2Y in a positional fight may be the commander's cupola. The gun's accuracy and DPM don't show any incredible numbers, but the penetration is quite good, even against Tier 8 vehicles. What's more, all Yo tanks starting at Tier 7 have excellent elevation and depression angles. This is one of the key characteristics that shapes the gameplay of the entire line. The M3Y settled down at Tier 8. It made a leap in firepower arranged for by his predecessors. Its hull and turret armor thickness reach impressive values, and the size of the commander's cupola has been noticeably reduced. At the same time, the mobility of the tank stays true to the brand of the Yo branch and is complemented by the new mechanic. The tank has one more peculiar feature: 2 top guns to choose from, adding to the diversity of gameplay. If you prefer to keep your distance and support your allies, consider the 90mm gun with high DPM. It resembles a classic medium tank gun, accurate, fast-firing, and with high penetration. If you are a melee fighter, then the 105mm gun is the one for you. It's slightly inferior to the 90mm in terms of accuracy and rate of fire, but it deals impressive single-shot damage. The M3Y is a comfortable heavy tank with gameplay similar to that of the T-32 and M103. The M6Y is your final push to the crown of the branch. This vehicle keeps the general concept of Yo tanks, but takes on a different appearance. The elongated turret looks especially impressive, and it has good armor and a shape prone to ricochet. The M6Y is also armed with 2 top guns to choose from, only this time their calibers are even greater. The 105mm cannon boasts good accuracy and high damage per minute. Its 120mm sister is less accurate, but compensates for that with nice single-shot damage. The M6Y will help you better understand how to play the king of this line. I give you the M5Y. This vehicle, which rightfully sits at the top of this line, uses the most effective and recognizable ideas of the previous Yo tanks, but takes them even further. The M5Y is much smaller in size, its turret is narrower, and instead of 2 vulnerable cupolas, only 1 remains, and it's a small one. Looks familiar, right? There are several vehicles with a similar turret model in the game. You can't underestimate such a design, especially if you keep in mind the comfortable gun depression angle. Just like the majority of the Yo tanks, the M5Y has 2 guns in its inventory. Choose the gun the same way as you would with the Tier 8 and Tier 9 tanks. The fast-firing 105mm gun delivers good accuracy. Its standard shells are APCR rounds, which have excellent penetration and high velocity, just what you need to fight mobile opponents. The 120mm gun is a heavy vehicle's tool. High single-shot damage, reasonable accuracy, and AP shells with good velocity. The gun is suitable for effective shooting at both close and medium range. At the same time, the turret armor will keep your hit points intact. The main feature of the Yo branch tanks, starting from Tier 7, lies in their chassis. I'm talking about the reserve track mechanics. Here's how it works. If one of your tracks is busted, the tank will keep moving with the help of the reserve one, but at a lower speed. If the other main track is knocked off as well, the tank will slow down even more, but it will still be able to move. For example, the M5Y is driving at its maximum speed of 40 km per hour. If someone hits its front roller and destroys the main track, the tank will slow down by 40%. If both tracks are damaged, the speed will drop by 65% of the maximum. But you're still moving, which means you can still get to cover or rotate your hull. To completely immobilize a Yo, enemies need to knock off at least 1 reserve track, then the tank will stop for repairs. The reserve track will be repaired first, and then the main one. The reserve track takes less time to repair, and as soon as it's fixed, you can start moving. However, there's a catch. If you're driving faster than 5 km per hour, the main track will take longer to repair. You need to think about where and when to repair your tracks so that you won't be caught. If there's a cover nearby, good. Go there and recoup. If you're caught in an open area, it's better to use a repair kit, which will repair all the tracks at once. There are several ways to stop a Yo. You just need to know which shells to fire and where to aim. For instance, firing HE shells at the rear of the chassis is more likely to completely immobilize a furious Yo. Artillery HE rounds work in a similar fashion. If a shell lands next to the vehicle, the scattered shards can damage both tracks at the same time. You can also immobilize the American with an accurate shot at the front roller. In this case, the shell has to be powerful enough to damage both modules at once. When playing a Yo tank, keep a few simple rules in mind to avoid getting in trouble. The reserve track is not a reason to scrimp on the repair kit. Yes, the mechanic can forgive you some mistakes, but in a critical situation, you need to think about survival. Try mounting improved hardening. It increases the durability of both the regular track and the reserve track, while making it harder to knock off both with one shot. When engaging the enemy head-on, consider how your tank is positioned. If you are facing the enemy directly, their accurate shot at your front roller is more likely to knock off the reserve track as well. To avoid this, change the angle of your hull or use the terrain folds. This way, you'll protect yourself and will be able to keep moving even if one of your main tracks is damaged. When side-scraping, move as much as you can and try to position your hull at an acute angle. don't make it any easier for the opponent to hit your reserve track. The Yo tanks are unique, but practical. They feature the familiar gameplay of American heavies, but with a unique twist. They make you look at familiar things from a different angle. They can be forgiving. And most importantly, they prove the unshakable truth by deed. Moving is living.